So we have one more speaker before lunch, and that's Meg Kummerow. And Meg has worked in the beef, cattle and cotton industries and continues to work in the grain industry. She, as Executive Officer for the Grains Research Foundation, Meg encourages young grain growers to expand their knowledge and involvement in their industry. Her passion for agriculture and the people involved has seen her moved into the drone age to be a sounding board for Australian farmers to reach out to when implementing drone technology onto their farms. So please welcome Meg to the stage.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come up here and tell my story. If there's one thing I can do, and that is get us out to lunch on time. I wrote my speech, and I said to myself this morning, I really should time what I've written, just to make sure I don't go over. 8.5 minutes. So we're flying out to lunch today. Now, bear with me. I know my speech was entitled Home Cooked Agriculture, and it sounds like a really strange title. And when I thought of it, I'm like, what on earth am I thinking? But anyway, so who am I? I'm a wife. I'm a mother to 2 little girls who are at school today. And them being at school has really opened up my options in my career. I'm very grateful to Mount Tyson State School. I'm an ex-cotton grower. That in itself was, a pretty tumultuous time, becoming an ex-cotton grower. I mean, when you're a farmer, it's so intrinsic to who you are as a person, and to not have that anymore was a real challenge. I work in the not-for-profit part of the ag industry through several bodies, and I have my own business selling drones. I'm a really passionate agricultural involvee, and I really live for agriculture. So what do I mean by a home called agriculture? To my mind, a home is somewhere where you come back to for support, for nourishment, and for security. It's somewhere that supports your need to fly, but it also gives you a stable platform from which to launch from. I was pretty lucky. I was born into agriculture. I grew up on a beef cattle property at Gayndah in the central Burnett. My parents are still there. My dad is 81. He'll probably shoot me for telling you that. And he still runs that cattle property entirely by himself, apart from his 4 dogs and his horse. My formative years were spent pretty much riding my long-suffering horse around all weekends and helping my dad either muster or whatever job he had going on the farm for that day. And I was really fortunate that he was really accepting of the fact that I'm a female, and he would take me and do anything with me. There was no limitations. I'd go out with him fixing pumps and mustering. So I was pretty lucky. After 5 years away at boarding school, I had a gap year at home, which not only allowed me to get to know my parents again after 5 years as a more grown-up person, but it also gave me a taste for agriculture, helping Dad on the farm. It also helped me grow my appreciation for the hard work that farmers put into their business, the dedication, but most of all the care that they put into their animals or the produce that they're growing or producing. Instead of going to university, even though I'd been accepted twice into an agribusiness course, I decided to instead register for a newly created business course at Dalby Agricultural College. I really feel that it was the right choice for me. Not everyone is set out for university. I certainly didn't want to spend 4 years away. And I really craved the hands-on practical nature of the courses at Dalby. And I guess at the end of the day, I didn't want to end up working with a bank. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't for me. And I know there's people here at the bank today. That's not what I'm saying. But I wanted to work, and this is probably going to sound worse, I wanted to work for farmers, not necessarily against them. But I wanted to be on the same side of the table as what they were. I wanted to sit alongside them and not be on the opposite side of the table. I guess I'm really more of a hands-on type of a person. So after graduating from ag college, where I met my husband as well, I got my first real taste of working life in agriculture, and I went to the polar opposite of the beef industry, and that's the cotton industry. My boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, was a cotton grower, and I was really fortunate to have won a scholarship within the cotton industry to a cotton business, and that gave me an in into the cotton industry. And it gave me a really different perspective of agriculture. So, cropping, you're roots are in the ground, like once it's in there, that's where it stays, whereas, cattle, a whole other different kettle of fish. So, the cotton industry themselves had come out of a really tough social licence period of time, with chemical application and things like that. So, they were really on the front foot of all of this, and they are and they continue to be a really innovative industry, and they're also a really supportive and social bunch. I don't know if anyone has ever been to the cotton industry, to the cotton conference, but it is the highlight of your 2 years is going to the cotton conference. It's not just about learning; it's about the social aspect of it. But what cemented my passion for agriculture and brought really home to me that agriculture was my home was the 2 months I spent working in the construction industry after I left the cotton industry in the early 2000s. Despite my best efforts, these were not my people. They had different values, different ethics, and I was far out of my comfort zone, and I could not get out of that industry quick enough and get back home into agriculture. Fortunately for me, a position became available at a feedlot owned by a large pastoral company just down the road from where my soon-to-be husband and I would be living once we came back onto the family farm. And I loved being back in ag. It was fantastic. It brought my two loves together, which was the beef industry, as well as all the experience I'd gained working as a bug checker or a trainee agronomist within the cotton industry. Again, getting a different perspective of agriculture through the feedlot and the associated pastoral stations gave me a different perspective of ag. I worked both full-time and casually from home for the company over 11 years, and they really gave me a whole lot of opportunities. Really my first taste of working from home came from that. During my time at the feedlot, a role in our local Cotton Growers Association became available, and this began my journey of working for farmers and supporting industry in the not-for-profit ag sector. Growing up, both of my parents were both highly involved in local community, whether on a local show society committee, the local Blue Nurses Committee, amongst other things. But for my dad, also working in industry through the United Graziers Association, and this ingrained into me the importance of being involved and supporting both your local community as well as your industry. This work with our local CGA, Cotton Growers Association, through that I was also given the opportunity to complete the inaugural round of the Australian Future Cotton Leaders program run by Jo Eadie. Does anyone here had anything to do with Jo? Yeah, she's amazing. She's an amazing woman, and I'm really lucky that I got to work with her through this program, and then going on from that, continuing a bit of work with the grains industry with her. Sorry. The program helped develop the idea of my first foray into self-employment within ag, which is future-focused business solutions. The concept was, and still is to this day for this business, is to provide admin and support services to the not-for-profit agricultural sector. And knowing that at some point my husband and I would have a family, this business has allowed me not only to keep working, but also keep some sanity. So, as we all know, living rurally and remotely and then having children can be a really isolating factor. So I've been, to have that was fabulous. This business has given me so many opportunities and really has been my home within agriculture. My current work within this business focuses predominantly on the grains industry through the Grains Research Foundation Limited, of which I'm Executive Officer, Secretary, and on the board. The Australian Summer Grains Conference, where I'm Secretary in Media, and I'm on there via the Australian Sunflower Association, which I've just, in the last few weeks, taken up the coordinator role for the sunflower industry. And I'm also on the board of Partners in Grain Queensland. In addition to this, I also have my out of my comfort zone business, which is Fly the Farm. These industry roles, these grains industry roles, really allow me to fulfil my need to work for farmers. The Grains Research Foundation Limited's current focus is on supporting the capacity of the younger generation of grain farmers to become more involved in their industry, but also in the research priority setting and guidance of research industry. So making sure that farmers' voices are heard when it comes to research is really important, because not only do we do farmers pay the levy, but they're also the ones who take on the research that happens because of those levies. So trying to get these younger generation to understand, why being involved in research is really important, because, it comes back to them on farm. But also it helps fulfil board positions that are becoming increasingly hard to fill as, our younger generation, and we all feel pretty pushed for time. We're trying to help them understand the importance of that, and even though it's a push for time, that it's really worthwhile. We provide an opportunity for these younger grain growers to travel to the US to look at current research that's happening over there, to meet with innovative farmers, universities, and looking at current technology that's happening. So we start them off in Texas, and we make them drive hours and hours and hours all through Texas, up into Oklahoma, Kansas, and this year we're hoping to go into Iowa and then across into Illinois. So, going from Texas, which is very similar to us, they're very dry kinds of country, right up into Illinois, where for a farmer, if that's when you get everything right, is Illinois. You have your water and your soil and everything, and what you can do when things are all line up. So through these tours, participants have discovered that being involved in industry, in this case particularly focused on research, brings both personal, business and industry rewards. 4 of the 2015 tour alumni have gone on to create their own seed company. They've undertaken more travel to Mexico to select wheat lines that fulfil their needs as growers in the Western Downs, and that have been overlooked by wheat breeders here in Australia. And they're now looking at releasing a chickpea variety. 2 more have joined our board, one of who is a female. 3 are involved in the AgForce Grains board, and 1 who, again, is on our board. She is a current Nuffield scholar, and I think left yesterday for the start of her Nuffield travels. GRF have made a commitment to ensure the board includes representation from female farmers, and quite a number of our tour participants have been active female farmers, and we now have 2 board members, which include myself, who are female. All of this from a little industry body that often feels like we get overlooked. Agriculture has been the stable platform from which these people have been able to launch into greater things. We also encourage our participants to utilise social media, in particular Twitter, to maintain the connections they make while on tour. And that's really important in this day of social media. And I understand that there is challenges of getting people involved, but through this here, we've had made lots and lots of friendships and connections. We've been able to reciprocate some of the hospitality that we've been shown while over in the States by hosting groups such as Iowa Farm Bureau and the US Sorghum Checkoff. The Australian Summer Grains Conference is another organisation I'm involved with. In itself, this conference is an amazing event supported by the sorghum, maize, sunflower, soybean and mung bean industries. And while it might not be as big as the Australian Cotton Conference, for those who know what it's like, it makes its own by way of amazing speakers and industry collaboration. Again, organised entirely by a group of volunteers and led by an amazing woman, Marie Crawford. The 5 crop groups work together and show just how important it is for community and industry involvement, as without the volunteers, none of these types of groups or events happen. And it's a testament to agriculture that we can see the importance of being involved. The 2016 Australian Summer Grains Conference was the catalyst for the biggest leap of faith I have ever taken. A speaker by the name of Chad Colby, who the Grains Research Foundation brought over to the conference, came over to speak about technology and drones, and not one of the drone resellers that I spoke to leading up to the conference were interested in coming along and having a trade display, despite the fact that they're becoming the hot topic in ag. But I just found that the resellers at the time couldn't quite see where ag fitted in. And I said into frustration to this Chad, well, maybe I should go into selling drones. And he said, yes, you should. And so that's pretty much where it started. Again, my focus with Fly the Farm has been to work for farmers when it comes to bringing drones onto the farm. So I guess my background in agriculture means that I speak the same language. I can understand when they're explaining to me what their pain point is, and I can then assist them to, either say, yeah, well, a drone might solve your problem, or, well, I actually think you might need to go this way. So my knowledge of those industries really has stood me apart from other drone resellers. And while stepping into construction or mining might make me much more profitable, it's not where my skill set or my interests lie. While the premise of Fly the Farm is sales, I look at myself more as an intermediary between farmers and the drone industry. And through this, I've been lucky enough to be asked to be part of the agricultural subcommittee of the Australian Certified UAV Operators, or ACUO, where I'm the voice of farmers with some of the work that we're doing. And we're really at the cutting edge of bringing some regulation to the drone industry as it pertains to agriculture. Again, working outside of ag has been extremely challenging, but having my grains work keeps me focused on agriculture and gives me the support and the security I need to keep on doing what I do. I feel that I've been very fortunate to have grown up in the age that I have, where women are much more accepted than they have been in the past. I was lucky enough to have parents who never placed limitations on me because I was female, apart from my dad insisting that I took typing at school. I am grateful now, however, but I really was not happy at the time. The support and encouragement I've been shown by both men and women over my career so far has been amazing. The names that stick out for me are Liz Alexander, Marie Crawford, Georgie Somerset, Paul McIntosh and Damien Scanlon, just to name a few. These people have always been very supportive of me, but also of other women in the industry and getting other women involved in various industries. Agriculture is my comfort zone, it's my home. It's allowed me to fly off and try different things while giving me a stable platform to keep my feet firmly planted on the ground. It's a home, it provides nourishment to us all, not just in a physical manner, by way of food production, but also for those of us who live and breathe agriculture. It's a way of nourishing our minds and our souls. Thank you.
Thanks, Meg. I think you did explain your title well, so that was good. So do we have any questions for Meg before we go for lunch? So,
I'd just like to say, anyone who knows me knows that I don't do dresses, so you better take a photo.
Well, in the interest of time, I think we will keep going, but... So thanks, Meg, for telling me your presentation was going to be shorter before, because I did give the others a few minutes in anticipation of that. So what we'll do now is we'll break for lunch for an hour. We'll come back, just a bit less than an hour. We'll come back at 20 to 2. So lunch will be served where morning tea was. It's out on the deck. I just wanted to also say before you go to lunch, you might like to look over on the right-hand side. There's a book there called Cattlemen in Pearls, Celebrating Women in Agriculture. And so just to give you a little bit of a background on that, it's published by Ian and Anne Galloway from Roma and written by 5 rural-based writers, including Tracy Hartman, who's here today. Tracy, where are you? Yep. Okay. So if you, during lunch want to have a look at the book, it features 28 mini biographies of Australian women dedicated to the beef industry. So I'd just like to thank all the speakers for this morning. They were wonderful stories and I think very inspirational. So now is a really good opportunity to get to know someone else, so networking out on the deck. Can I just have the speakers just stay for a few minutes just so we can get a photo before we all move out? So thank you.